Thank you for your valuable comments on my videos on Twitter, Koo, and Twitter. I make sure that I read all of them and post them on social media. Today we have Dr. Venkatesh back with us. Many of you wait for his talks. So today he's back with us to discuss whatever is happening now in India. Welcome, Emma.
Thanks, Doctor. Thanks, Meena, and it's a pleasure to be back in your show.
Yeah. Emma, with regards to the coronavirus crisis in Maharashtra, an ambulance was forced to stuff 22 dead bodies together. And police stopped the eyewitnesses from taking pictures when two relatives of the deceased began filming the ambulance and taking pictures of the dead bodies. The police seized their phones. They said that the phones would be returned only after the dead bodies are cremated. On Sunday, an ambulance was found ferrying 22 dead bodies of coronavirus patients from a hospital to the crematorium in Amba Jogai in the Beed district of Maharashtra. The incident came to light at a time when the state has been worst hit by the pandemic. The bodies of the 22 deceased coronavirus patients were picked up from the Swami Ramanand Tirth Marathwada Government Medical College in Amba Jogai. They were then stashed one above another in body bags and left in the ambulance. The vehicle had bodies of 14 patients who had died on Saturday and bodies of 8 others who died on Sunday. A total of 9 patients had died at the Lokhandi Sarvagaon Jumped COVID Center. And reportedly, the cops were standing in the vicinity of the ambulance. When two relatives of the deceased began filming it and taking pictures, the police seized their phones. They said that the phones would be returned only after the dead bodies are cremated. After the incident sparked outrage on social media, a team was sent there immediately by the Beed district administration. And the Beed district collector, Ravindra Jagtap, said, "We have demanded more ambulances. Our responsibility is to hand over bodies to the civic body to perform the last rites. What the civic body does is not in our control." He also informed that 3 more ambulances, which were functional during the first wave of coronavirus, has been withdrawn. As of April 27, Maharashtra has got several active cases and fatalities. Emma, what is happening, Emma? There is a lack of oxygen, trucks are being stopped, and it's such a chaotic situation, not only in Maharashtra, in many cities as well, in many states as well. Could you speak about that, Emma?
Meena, it's a very tragic moment for all of us. Post-independent India, this must be one of the biggest tragedies that is haunting us as a nation. The first wave, we did fight fairly well. I think we won the first wave fairly and handsomely. But somewhere, the typical Indian way of declaring victory, even as the war is going on, is palpable. Many of us were very uncomfortable right from October onwards when the focus started shifting to what the finance ministry talked about was the green shoots of the economy. The focus shift to the bottom line, the GDP growth for the rise in Sensex, the FDI, and flow of a collection of GST. All these were unwarranted and unwanted distractions. The second wave, even as the first wave was on, people were speaking about the second wave in the Spanish flu. And they said it will be far more deadly and far more painful than the first one. It's really surprising, Meena, that today we are having a shortage of remdesivir. I can understand we had a shortage of remdesivir in 2020 March.
Yeah.
But in 20, we somehow or the other managed it. But 1 year down the line, we have shortage of remdesivir. We have shortage of hospital beds. We are surprised that corona patients require oxygen. We are surprised that oxygen plants are there in distant part of the country. It is in one corner of the country. It has to be taken to several parts. All these things we discovered somewhere around 20th of April 2021.
Yeah.
Till April 2021, 20th 2021, that is last week, life was going on as usual. There was no corona. Corona was happening in the other side of Mongolia. and it was nothing to do with India.
Yeah.
So it is a classical breakdown that what you are talking about in Maharashtra as how an ambulance was taking away 22 bodies. I don't know whether you know what is the state of affairs in Varanasi, which is the constituency of the Honorable Prime Minister.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have not seen it. But my 3 colleagues are from Varanasi. And incidentally, we have shut down our office last week itself. And the news that they get from Varanasi is that virtually 80-90% of the population will be infected. There is nobody to test, and people who get tested, they are requested to stay at the homes itself. And even those who are at home and they are feeling sick enough to necessitate a visit to the hospital, there is no hospital beds. And even if they manage a hospital bed, there is no oxygen or medicine or doctor to take care. This is Varanasi for you today, where bodies get piled up in the Ghat. Varanasi is the crematorium capital of this country, in a way, and where people go even in normal days to see that their mortal remains are consigned. That is their last wish. The kith and kin, somehow or the other, take care. Their bodies are waiting for somewhere between 18 to 30 hours to get cremated. So what is happening in Maharashtra is happening in UP. What is happening in UP is happening in Karnataka. What is happening in Karnataka is happening in Punjab. So it's a pan-Indian phenomenon. So let us not blame state government, central government, local government. It is something that we have welcomed it. We, the people of India, have welcomed this catastrophe by our own negligence, by our own behavior. If we do an introspection right from Diwali onwards, I think the turning point came during Navratri and Diwali, where people started going to the shops, malls, and government was, local and the central government was focused on what is the GST collection. Yeah. Now, that was not the time when you start looking at GST collection. That was a time to warn people, tell people you cannot go there in such hordes. You have to have a COVID, a behavior that is commensurate with the COVID protocol. You cannot be reckless. You cannot be careless. But that is what was happening. Flights were getting full. I saw people going to marriages for holidays. The travel industry started giving huge discounts, and people started believing that they have to go for resorts and weddings and stay in some places. And, the whole thing broke down. And it was waiting to happen. And it happened. We were, as usual, caught unawares that oxygen was not there, beds were not there, medicine was not there, doctors were not there. And we are obviously underreporting deaths. There's no two opinion about it. Everybody knows it. And today we are facing a full-blown catastrophe.
Bharti is asking, yesterday Mani sir was saying the second wave was planted. What is MR sir's view on the same?
No, I have a different take. Second wave took such a long time to happen is something. Let us not blame always on external forces. I always tell this to people, especially politicians. Let us not. There's also another question that is I see on the screen. Yeah. Second is natural and man-made. It is clearly man-made. It is by us. First wave was manufactured in China. Second wave was manufactured by Indians. That is why it is more virulent. It's more long-lasting. It is done with some more precision, and it is delivering better results. So let us be clear about it. Now, how does it happen? Now, my view, my personal view, I have not done any rocket science on this, is that, see, whenever some catastrophe happens, we tend to blame outsiders, we tend to blame the government, we tend to blame externalities, but we don't do an introspection to find out that all this could be caused by ourselves, meaning we, the people of India. See, when this standard thing that I tell my political friends is that, look, when a king died, he handed over 3 envelopes to his successor.
Yeah.
And told him, look, whenever you get into a problem, use this. This will be good stead. This is all that I can advise you. And he died. Years rolled on. Then the successor had a problem. So he opened the first envelope. It was written, "Blame it on your predecessor." Okay, so the king somehow or the other blamed his predecessor and tided over the extent crisis. Years rolled by, there was yet another crisis. So he opened the second envelope. It was written, "Blame it on foreign forces." So the foreign forces was blamed, and somehow he managed to duck it. Years rolled by, and then there was the third crisis, and he had to open the third envelope. And in that it was written, "Prepare 3 envelopes for your successor." Okay, you can blame your predecessor, you can blame foreign forces. You have no other choice but to take the blame. And I think this would suit both the central government and the state government. Unfortunately, this is the truth of the matter. Both have let us down in this second wave. And they have done a very good job about it. Let us be clear.
But also, MR, see, if you're looking at the media, whether it's Indian or global, they're all, attacking our country as if to see that, ours is the worst condition in the world. So there are a lot of forces also working against us, isn't it, MR?
There are a lot of forces which are gleefully working against us. Both
you look at Barkha squatting on the floor, and taking videos saying that this is the condition. I mean, she's just one of the million.
Yes, and BBC, CNN, all these have reported from the ghats and the funeral fire behind, and they have done a fairly good job, I must concede. But see, as a nation, you can't say that your enemies are doing their job.
Yeah.
And the enemies will continue to do their job. And it is no point also saying that enemies are there. We have to somehow or the other come to the conclusion that enemies of India will exist and they will continue to do their job. Are you saying that there should be no enemies of this country, or the enemies of the country should not do their job? I have enemies, you have enemies. Let me put it very candidly, Meena, that many of your friends or rivals who are running this type of channels in your YouTube or whichever platform would love Candid Meena to fail.
Yeah.
And they will go the whole hog to see that you are failing. Somehow or the other, they will contrive various ways. They will conjure various ways. You can't go back to them and say that, no, you are asking me to fail. This is unfair of you. Okay, enemies of this country will continue till this country exists. So I have no issues with Barkas. I have no issues with CNN or BBC. They are doing their job. The question is, are we doing our job? Okay, are we doing our job? Are we capable of coming out triumphs? This is a country which won it 6 months back, the first wave.
Yeah.
Look, 15 days we have been bought on our knees. And what has happened? All that it has happened is that we have not been smart enough in the last, say, 3 months. We have not played smart politics, smart logistics last, say, 3 to 4 months. And had we played it, we would. The Barkas of the world had no role to play. So we need to answer this question instead of blaming others. That's why I said you have always got a choice of making 3 envelopes, whether it's a prime minister, whether it's MR Venkatesh. I can blame Meena, I can blame China, I can blame anybody. Finally, there is a day where I have run out of excuses.
Yeah.
And in this, my grouse is with my fellow Indians, especially upper middle class, educated, knowledgeable people. These are the people who created this mess. This is not coming from the slums. This is not people who are poor. This is not coming from the villages. This is not coming from the poor toiling class. See, an auto rickshaw fellow has a necessity to go out. But do I have the necessity to go to my club? That is the question. Club is a luxury. Club is not a necessity. An auto driver going and running his auto for the day is a necessity for him. The example that we gave was, look, he is going, so I have to go. And everything has become normal. No, it doesn't. Corona will, and believe me, there will be a third wave. After the second wave, if you don't get prepared, once this subsides, there will be a third wave, and if you don't answer, there is a fourth wave.
China
And
has
these will
around,
be more virulent.
yeah, China has around 1,500 variants of the
Yes.
coronavirus.
And it is no point in saying that, oh, it is biological warfare. Yes, it will. So what? They will continue to haunt you in whichever way. The answer to that is you have to fight your way through as individuals, as countrymen, as citizens of this country. This is how we have to fight it out.
Yes.
And this is going to be there.
MR, in UP,
Huh.
see, at least Yogi Adityanath is doing some positive things. For example, your UP government announced free remdesivir injections to critically ill, 44 arrested in the black marketing of life-saving drugs, oxygen cylinders. He has also asked the authorities to ensure that the vials are available at L2 COVID-19 hospitals across the state. On Tuesday, he ordered the state-run and private hospitals in UP to provide remdesivir injections to the critically ill COVID-19 patients free of cost. Though the private hospitals in the state are asked to procure the drug directly from the market and the manufacturers, they can still procure it from the district magistrate and the chief medical officer if they don't get supplies of it, and it's very necessary for the survival of the patients. For this, the orders have been issued by the Department of Health and Family Welfare. Here, MR, Yogi Adityanath is doing many things which are different from the other, chief ministers, starting, oxygen plants and, doing even sort of penalizing people who are spreading, wrong information about what's happening in India. So, how do you see his take on the crisis that's happening?
Okay. World over, in advanced countries, there is something like 1,200 to 1,500 beds per lakh of population. Probably Karnataka is having 300, which is one of the highest in the country. Tamil Nadu and Kerala may be following closely with 200, 250, something like that.
Yeah.
Probably UP will be having around 150 or 120, anywhere between that range. So, poor Yogi starts with a very big handicap. And given the backdrop that he has a huge handicap, I think he has done a phenomenal job. And much of the hospitals in UP are situated in Ghaziabad and Noida, which abuts Delhi, which is the western side. Interior UP is anybody's guess. Even today, we don't have much of a news. And as I said, my first-hand information was about Varanasi.
Yeah.
And the Allahabad High Court last week had promptly asked to shut down 5 cities in UP, namely Kanpur, Lucknow, Ghaziabad, Kanpur, Lucknow, Gorakhpur, Varanasi, and Allahabad. But the state government refused for whatever reasons. Be that as it may, Yogi is doing a phenomenal job. Let us concede that. But having said that, for instance, everybody is waking up to the fact that the oxygen plants have to be set up now. Now, the PM Care gave an order that there must be 566 oxygen plants that needs to be set up. That was only day before. But they also given an order for 162 plants somewhere in January, of which only 33 have been set up. So balance 129 plants have not been set up across the country despite money being there. Now PM Care is directly being monitored by the PMO. Now, one way of saying is PMO has given money, what more do you expect? Now, the other way of looking at it, the state governments have not translated the PM Care money into oxygen plants in various hospitals that it was done. Health is predominantly a state subject. It comes in the second schedule to entry to the state list, what we call as the state list. Public health and all these things comes under the state. So it is only the state which had to set up oxygen, medical oxygen level plants at various hospitals and see that it is being distributed. That is why I say states, whether it is Yogi Adityanath, whether it is Yedurappa or EPS or Uddhav Thackeray, I think all of them miserably failed in anticipating COVID second wave. And what should be done should there be a second wave? And what happened was, today we are running and saying that Oxygen Express is running. There won't be any green signal, red signals for the train, and we are making a huge tamasha out of it. But we have lost at least 50 to 80,000 lives. And this could have been done in the first week of April. We could have saved so many lives. And we, in a country of 135 crore people, we don't mind a crore of people dying. Let us be very clear, Meena. Life is not having any value in this country. That sickens me out of this country. And I'm not, self-flagellation is not, this is not the time to do this. But we also have to introspect at the time of crisis. Why this is happening? Why is it that there was no command structure at the central level? Why there was no command structure at the state level? Why there was no command structure at the district level? Why should it? Now, hotspots came somewhere in the month of March, first week. It was evident that Maharashtra was becoming into a hotspot, interior Maharashtra. Last week of March, it was apparent that Mumbai was turning into a hotspot. By first week of April, it was apparent it was going into interior UP. It was going in. Until now, we don't have any news about Rajasthan. We don't have any news about Jharkhand, Orissa. Even Bengal news is sketchy. Bihar, completely, we don't have any news. Tamil Nadu, okay, we may have some news, but even Andhra and Telangana data is very sketchy. So everywhere it spread. But first week of April, it was very clear that the second wave was on. And I think we had our last session on April 14th, Meena.
Yeah.
I did speak about it.
Yeah.
I did speak about it 15 days ago. But the government of India was the last to know about this. The state governments were the last to know about this. So oxygen.
But MR, see, what about the black marketing? What about the conspiracies that are happening?
Right?
Yeah, please, yes. Yeah.
Because when you're not aware about the second wave, you don't know what to do positively in terms of setting up oxygen
sabotage.
Plant. You also don't know about the sabotage. These are two sides of the same coin. You knew that. I'm telling you, if this continues for the next few days, there will be Fabiflu. Forget remdesivir. There will be today. In Delhi, you don't get Dolo 650. I had to somehow or the other get Saridon, which I use. I had to get it from Chennai. Because for a body aches, you can't go and get Dolo 650. People are buying Dolo 650 from Chennai, putting it in a Blue Dart car and sending it, couriering it to people in their near ones in Delhi. These are not talking in remote villages of Bihar or Jharkhand. I am talking about capital Delhi. Medicine availability is bound to happen. But, we will have a very peculiar answer. If you go and tell the state government, central government, central ministry, health ministry, their answer will be health is a state subject, sir. We can't do much about it. You may write it to the central, the state government. State government, you have this scum of the earth called Kejriwal, and that fellow would only be keen on blaming it on others instead of doing anything. And this would be equally true for all the state government. They will say we can't do this because transportation of drugs is pharmaceuticals comes under the central ministry. So we were writing. Everybody wants to write a letter. Everybody wants to put it on record that they asked for it and they didn't get it. Had they got it, they would have done something. And oxygen cylinders, remdesivir, Fabiflu, Dolo 650, all these are being black marketed today because of the incompetence of the bureaucracy. If I were the Prime Minister, let me tell you, after the crisis is over, I will take to task all the civil servants who were in charge of managing this affair and summarily dismiss them. Hold a separate court of inquiry and take necessary action, but summarily dismiss them because they have blood on their hands. Whether it is state or center. And I don't want to blame politicians in this. We have got a professional class to take care of these things. You can't help the Prime Minister to come and give you oxygen. And it is a very strange thing that the Prime Minister takes on himself. That is my very big charge against him, that he takes on himself to deliver oxygen, deliver remdesivir, deliver Fabiflu, deliver Saridon. Next step is to tell him, hello, PMO, there is no water in my toilet, please see something. And Prime Minister will be rushing to clean the toilets. Are we not having this sense of proportion that here is the office of the Prime Minister, which has to do at a very apex level policy? And these are things to be done at a municipality level. Municipality level has completely collapsed in this country. The third tier is not there. This is repeatedly I've been telling. We have completely done away with the third tier. And this will bound to happen because a country of this size will have black marketeers because the government ceases to interfere at the right time. If the government had so much of procurement and rushes oxygen cylinders, see that, then there will be no oxygen cylinders sold in the black market.
Yeah. Going to Maharashtra, MR, the controversy came to the fore when ex-Maharashtra CM Fadnavis released the letter of Rashmi Shukla. Now, Rashmi Shukla has been summoned by the Mumbai police, MR. This is the recent development. On April 20th, in connection with the FIR registered at the BKC Cyber Police Station. This FIR was registered against unknown persons for illegal phone tapping and the confidential report leak. Posted in Hyderabad on a central deputation, she has been asked to appear before Assistant Commissioner of Police Nitin Yadav at 11 a.m. on Wednesday to record her statement. The state, as per the letter, Shukla informed Jaiswal that she had received complaints of a network of brokers, individuals with political connections, ensuring desired postings for police officers in exchange for massive monetary compensation, stating that the phone numbers of the suspects were placed under surveillance to ascertain these charges. She stressed that due procedure was followed. Elaborating on the shocking details of the probe, she revealed that the aforesaid brokers are in contact with influential people and many police officers, and saying that there is highly incriminating evidence against a number of individuals in this activity. She attached a detailed report in this regard. The letter also called for a report to be immediately brought to the notice of the CM, as it casts aspersions on the credibility and functioning of the government. In the midst of CM wanting to have a lockdown, planning on having a lockdown, these things are also happening, Emma. I mean, when a lady is doing her work, she's also being questioned, when it is the opposite. I mean, she's trying to reveal something that is really terribly wrong, what's happening in Maharashtra.
I think everything is wrong in Maharashtra today. Okay. And I'm really stunned.
Yeah.
Or I would put it the other way around, that everything ceases to stun me. Okay. Anything ceases to stun me. Because next step is probably somebody showing us on 2 hours or 2.5 hours of live show in YouTube. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. I'm going to bribe the Chief Minister or Deputy Chief Minister. So you can watch me live. I will be bribing him and I will negotiate the bribes with the Chief Minister. And even then people will shamelessly deny. So my view is that nothing seems to be working in the state of Maharashtra. And it is a government on daily wages. When it lacks the political morality. See, numbers alone don't make a government. The moral caution is very important to make a government. And that comes only when you get elected by the vote of the people. If you conjure a majority and you still say that I can prove my majority in the floor of the assembly or the parliament, as the case may be, it may still meet the letter of the constitution, but the spirit of the constitution is that you should get those numbers directly from the electorate. In Maharashtra case, they added whiskey, they added to it lassi, and they added Gomutra. So it's a whiskey, lassi, Gomutra Sarkar. So you can mix any of the two, but you can't mix the three. So what has happened is whiskey, lassi, and Gaumutra. It's a new combination, a newly concocted drink. Okay, that is not working. So everybody knows that this government is a government on daily wages. So at 12 midnight, they don't know whether they will exist as a government and wake up tomorrow morning as a chief minister or minister or whatever. So what they do is that at every single opportunity, that everybody in the government or people in power and influence, people who can actually peddle influence, people who can spare influence, they tend to indulge in rampant corruption. So that amount of corruption is what is manifesting today and feasting on a tragedy, and a man-made tragedy called the second wave of COVID. So it's a perfect, it's the irresistible force meeting the immovable object. So there's a huge demand and there's a huge supply for corruption. So demand for corruption because of several reasons, and this lady's revelation, or which is not substantially different from what Vazes and Parambir talked about Anil Deshmukh. This is the different, another side of the same coin as to posting mafia being involved. So this is manifesting itself, and that is what is happening. I hope this lady comes with more facts and figures, and I sincerely hope that there will be a direct CBI investigation into this. But let me tell you that this Maharashtra posting scam, let us call it Maharashtra posting scam. Okay, let us first christen the scam, because there are so many scams. Which scam we are talking about?
You have to be specific.
Maharashtra officer posting scam. Okay. So I am lucky enough to name it in your show, Meena. Okay. So this could be there in the new government is coming in Tamil Nadu, and this could happen right from DGP onwards, chief cabinet secretaries onwards, chief secretaries onwards. This happens right through.
Yeah.
And there was once upon a time when I was a long ago, when I was a college student, we used to hear news that an inspector in Flower Bazaar, a traffic, those times used to have people on a bullet who used to be a sergeant. And that fellow is the fellow who used to always levy the challans.
Yeah.
The posting was a lakh of rupees in Flower Bazaar. I don't know. I'm not privy to the posting or the money that was being taken, but that was being spoken of. Yeah. So you can understand what I'm talking about is 25-30 years vintage. So today, obviously, it is running into a crore. Okay, for getting posting as sergeant in Flower Bazaar. And think of what could be the rate for getting posted as Mumbai Police Commissioner or Maharashtra TGP.
Parambir or
whosoever it was. So nothing surprises me, because all these things everybody knows is happening. But we want, like all these Hindi cinemas, Adalat ko sabut chahiye. We want extreme evidences. We want complete evidences of everybody coming and saying in an affidavit that, look, I so-and-so, son of so-and-so, so-and-so, having taken bribe of so-and-so money for posting so-and-so into so-and-so post. All these things doesn't work. We need quick and decisive judicial intervention, which unfortunately is not going to happen for the next 15-20 years in this country. Judicial reforms are still far off. And so all these things will happen. Let us enjoy. Let us look at it as an evening show. And I'm not cynical, but I'm saying that we have to enjoy this at this point in time. We have no other option.
Ankita is asking, I got anxiety when I saw BBC, NDTV, and CNN highlighting pictures, cremation of dead body, powerful nation. America doesn't help us in panic situation.
No need to. You don't panic. There is no panic situation. That's the only answer I can give you. America is not
watching the wrong channels.
Yes, and stop watching those channels. Nothing mandates that you should open the channel and see it. So you close the channel and do something else. And America is not mandated to help you. It is not your domestic help. America will help only those who will help themselves. In real life, nobody helps a beggar. Please understand. A beggar in the street, in a signal, if he says, please help me, you will throw 2 rupees or 5 rupees at him and then move on. Shut your car glasses and just move on. But you will always try to partner with somebody who is more powerful than you, richer than you, more capable than you, and you will go and tell that let us start discussing business. You will not throw 5 rupees at him and say get lost. You want to have a lasting relationship with him. The world is a realistic world which is based on power. It is not based on dharma. So that is why we have to understand, if America helps us today when we are low, down and out, it is America's dharma. But America will not act as dharma, it will act as realpolitik. It will try to arm twist you. It will try to leverage its position. It will try to ask you something in return for sending something. And as matured adults, we must believe that we have come to a stage, we are one of the most competent nations. We have got enormous amount of scientific knowledge. We are one of the few countries which can send satellites to Mars, to Chandrayaan, wherever. Our biotechnology, we are one of the most superior countries. We are one of those very few countries which have manufactured a vaccine all by ourselves. So we must believe in this, and we must, in fact, this will be the time for us not to ask any help. In fact, if I were the Prime Minister, I don't know the constraints what the Prime Minister had, but generally speaking, this is not the time to go around scouting for help. Every family faces a problem. Every family faces a crisis. Your family would have faced, my family has faced. We have two choices. We can go with a begging bowl to others, which some of us do. And there are still some amongst us who say we will tide over it, will grind our teeth. We will not seek help from others. And those are the families which resurrect faster, re-emerge faster. Those are the countries where character is built. Those are the nations on which citizens take pride in their own country. That is how countries are being built. That is not by America will never build another country. Show me one instance where one person has allowed other person to develop. Show me one instance of a country allowing another country to develop. It will never happen. So that your thought itself has to undergo a tectonic change. We need to stand on our own legs. We need to become self-reliant. That is what Atmanirbhar is all about. And this will come about again and again. It will come out. We will lose people. We can be critical. We can demand of our government to improve. We can suggest. We can tell so many things, but we can't expect others to bail us out. In my view, it's simply not done.
Nansur is asking, is centre being too soft on the anti-nationals and not taking immediate but very necessary strict action to put an end to these anti-national activities, which is now a grave threat to our country?
The best bet for all these anti-nationals is Narendra Modi, because he has taken a pratigya, a Bhishma pratigya, that he will not touch any of these anti-nationals, the communists, the congressies, the Tukde gang, Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi. None of them will be touched by Modi, because he believes that let them shout, let them do, I will do my politicking. Okay. And it is the middle class which gets disturbed with this threat on our national integrity and sovereignty. But somehow or the other, BJP seems to believe that these people have to be encouraged, or at least they should not be booked under any law. I don't know. I think this must be a question that needs to be answered. Otherwise, I don't think so. Why Robert Vadra is still moving around? I don't think so. Why Sonia Gandhi, having done the National Herald scam, continues to proliferate? I don't know why Chidambaram still roams around freely. There are so many ministers who have done the CWG scam. or this scam or that scam, they happily strut around. And BJP doesn't seem to be in any great hurry to go after them. BJP believes, in my personal view, that the existence of Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi is their biggest insurance for them to continue in power. So all that they will threaten you if you ask them any question is, do you want Rahul Gandhi to be the prime minister? And you are horrified at the very thought. You are petrified. You start sweating. And you say, no, theek hai, jo karna hai kar lo. You can do with any nonsense you want, but don't give me this threat of Rahul Gandhi becoming the prime minister. So this, I think, has to stop somewhere. They have to take action, but they believe every Ramayana requires one Ravan. Ramayana requires, even you can conjure of Ramayana without Rama. You can't conjure of Ramayana without Ravana. Okay, so they have created a Ravana in this people, and they have succeeded in making us believe that we should not vote for them, which is right, but they also don't want to take any action. So this, I think, is a curse or a price that we pay for keeping BJP in power.
Kohli is asking, India is not begging, US backing out of business contract ethics. They get raw materials from India too.
See, what I gave you was a philosophical answer.
Yeah.
And as far as backing out of business contracts is concerned, and if US has done it, the answer to that is invoke the arbitration clause or file appropriate damages from those people for breaking the contract. If it is a contractual obligation, if I enter into a contract, I have a right to break the contract. Of course, you may hold me by my collar and ask me and demand of me the necessary compensation which I have to pay arising out of the damages which the arbitrators may decide or as per the contract. But you cannot say that they should stick to the contract, come what may. They have a commercial sense, and we are one of the largest growing economy in the world. We are 3 trillion now economy, and if somebody is ignoring us contractually, commercially, good luck to them. I have nothing more to say.
Sanjay says, I'll have to disagree. The blame goes to the population. Why blame central government? It is the duty of each person to look after their own health and safety.
Sanjay, I think you have not heard me properly. The first 5-10 minutes, if you can rewind the tapes and look into it, I said, we the people of this country are to be blamed. There's no point in blaming the center or the state governments, I said. I was very clear and candid, and I said, we started this mess, the upper middle class. In fact, I was more specific about it. So I don't want to blame. I am not one of those who believes in blaming state or central government. I will rather do an incisive analysis about what they should do from now on. But I would hold myself. I am not even holding you. I am saying even MR Venkatesh personally is responsible for the second wave, because I probably was also as reckless as others. So I always believe that the way to correction is through individual emancipation rather than on collectively blaming others or asking others to remedy the whole situation for me.
In the last bit of news, Imad, China has made a U-turn again. A day after suspending cargo flights to India, Chinese Airlines is to discuss a new plan to resume services. China's decision to suspend the cargo flights was especially shocking, as the country has time and again expressed its willingness to assist India to fight the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic. China's state-run Sichuan Airlines has on Tuesday stated that it is withdrawing its decision to suspend cargo flights taking crucial medical supplies like oxygen concentrators to India. While announcing the decision, China said it was working out on a new plan to resume the services. According to a report in media, China's U-turn came after Indian media criticized Sichuan Airlines' move to suspend all its cargo flights to India for 15 days and said that such a move brings major disruption to private traders' efforts to buy medical supplies, including oxygen concentrators, from China.
See, it is not, again, what I told you in the previous answer, the answer to the previous question, more or less answers to this question. You can ignore India politically, but you cannot ignore India commercially. India is too big, and China runs some huge current account surplus with us, which means they are not only sending oxygen, they will be sending so many other goods. And if India says we are not, and in that plane, it is not that it's going to bring only oxygen or any other medical equipment. They will also bring in so many other semi-finished goods or finished goods, which are part to say making of cell phones or so many other things. So China would have realized, some undersecretary would have thought that we should not allow planes to go up to New Delhi. But somebody up the hierarchy in China would have realized that if we don't allow these planes to go in, we can't also sell our goods and wares. So definitely better thinking prevailed. And that's why I said, you have to understand, if anybody ignores India commercially, good luck to them, because he's acting foolishly. India is too big. We have now reached a stage. We must behave as a 3 trillion economy. We cannot be behaving as $300 billion economy, which we were, say, 25 years back. We are now arrived. We have to, every citizen has to have that broad chest. We have to walk with confidence. If China doesn't send its planes, so what? Taiwan will, Japan will. We just put the phone down and talk to somebody else and say, please do send all these things, and we are ready to pay. We have got $600 billion of foreign exchange reserve. We must have that confidence. Instead, oh, China has not sent one plane, so I am not able to breathe here, breastbeat, Rudali, and then become completely down. This cynical mindset has to go on, especially youngsters.
Yeah.
You start behaving as a citizenry of a superpower or a potential superpower. We are not yet there. We have to behave like one, which means responsibly. It is not arrogantly. Superpower citizens behave responsibly. We are a civilizational superpower. We are a cultural superpower. We are an economic superpower. We have so much of languages. We have so much of bigger markets. We are a consumption superpower. So we need to look at, if China doesn't, one plane doesn't come, we start, oh, China. This is not becoming of this. You have to stand up and say, thank you very much. You have not sent. We respect your decision. We don't have to breastfeed. We don't have to tell them. We tell them, good luck to you. I have seen this in the Sri Lankans. Sri Lanka would be 1/3 of Tamil Nadu in size, but their ability to be, confident. They know if India blinks that they are gone.
Yeah.
If China just half a blink, they are gone. But they have the pride of being a sovereign country. They are so confident. It doesn't mean arrogance. Confidence and arrogance, there's a thin line. Let us be clear about it. And this is where I think we somehow or the other have not imbibed that amount of confidence in our youngsters. We have to have faith in our systems, on our people, on our prime minister, on our chief ministers. We cannot be weeping and saying, oh, China has not sent a plane, so it's all finito for us. And see, today they have taken a U-turn, and rightfully.
Yeah.
It's in China's interest to take the U-turn, not in your interest.
Yeah.
And if they send also, you should take it. You should not say, oh, yesterday you did send the plane. This nitpicking, this is not a Saas Bahu serial.
Yeah.
This is nations. Nations have only geocentric or geopolitical interests in their mind. And they have taken it, they have seen it, you have made your point, you have proved your point, happily take it. That means you have arrived on stage. That means you have come to the center table. That means you are there. And be happy about it. It's an inflection point, probably in the growth of the country. Yes.
MR, yeah. MR, another point that I wanted to ask you. See, many people have said that now they have stopped watching mainstream media. And here Reva is saying, television reporting is depressing. YouTube platforms like this one brings confidence. Thank you, Dr. MRV and Meena. So, what is your take on this?
See, the problem is last 10 years, mainstream media was selling bad news. And there is a national fatigue which was bound to happen sooner than later. And you cannot be peddling in bad news. It may be titillating. It does tastes. You can't be having this five-star food for those of us who have been cursed to stay there. And we know it is all day before yesterday's food being recycled and coming in. So you can't eat for a day or two continuously. You start yearning for your trigger, your natural trigger to come home and have mama's food.
Yeah.
Nothing like it. It may be simple tair sagam, dahi baat or dal roti or whatever it is. And what Candid Meena or any of these type of YouTube channels that are giving us is simple dal roti. What we are having is a heart-to-heart talk. We are not conjuring something. We are not creating some artificial atmosphere, trying to be bombastic. We are making it simple, breaking it down to simple brass tacks. And so people are liking it. And that's where I think this is the true news. This is the analysis. This is what will happen. But if you are, all this last 10 years, mainstream, what it was looking at, it was basically an alternative methodology of providing news which was cooked up, which was made to look tasty, jazzy, sexed up. But unfortunately, the fatigue is setting. So if there is no real dissection of news and events, if hardcore, you are not going to go back and start dissecting, okay, if oxygen cylinders are not there, who went wrong, where it went wrong, how it can be corrected, if you are not going to look at it prospectively. Instead, it's and it's so nice to blame this skunk called Arvind Kejriwal, because BJP excels in that. Everybody loves to hate him, and he is such a horrible character. So, a real character who you love to hate for whatever reason. But that is not going to solve your problem. And BJP, I don't know why it goes so long to nitpick on this Kejriwal.
Yeah.
Is he responsible for what is happening in Karnataka or Maharashtra or Chandigarh? Now you have a pan-Indian problem. The image of the Prime Minister is at stake. The efficacy of the central government is at stake. They are not bothered about it. They are only saying, oh, look at Kejriwal, what he has done. And as if the whole problem started when Kejriwal live telecasted his speech with the Prime Minister. And that is why we are not getting oxygen in Tamil Nadu. No, we have to also move beyond this titillating events, exposing this type of nonsense. We have to be more structured. That is why I'm saying that you are doing a human service, because what you are doing is putting the real analysis on the table. And I see that this is the mainstream news media, and this will flower as we go along. It's a matter of time when people start jettisoning the mainstream media and listening to people like you, Meena, because what you are doing is really giving the homemade, home-cooked food, and people are rediscovering that this is news and that is tamasha.
What is your take on NDTV Pranoy Roy? Are hard to believe they are Indians, the way they report.
See, there is a view that you have a remote on the hand, you can change the channel. Now, why do you watch that channel? If you are so obsessed that that channel is not reporting the facts. And believe in the markets. I believe in the power of the market. If you jettison the channel, automatically, whether you curse it or not, they are not bothered about it. They are only bothered about the eyeballs that they are able to draw.
Yeah.
Now, whichever channel, I'm not talking about any particular channel. I would only suggest switch off or move to another channel which gives you the news or the comfort which you want to see. Why they are giving is because they believe that there is a class and there is an economic theory which says that supply creates its own demand. They are supplying because you are demanding, and you are demanding because they are supplying. You keep away from this, and you would be doing a human service if you think that that channel is not worth to be watched. As simple as that.
Yeah. Nansur is saying, nowadays the debates is only shouting over each other, heckling each other, and sometimes even insulting each other. Just can't watch it anymore, as what's being said can't be understood too.
I must also plead guilty on this because I've also done this several times. So,
Devanushi says the mainstream media has misled all of us. We depend on true news, factual analysis, and unbiased reporting. This channel provides us exactly that. So that going on the same.
yeah, so this is all returning back to the roots. This is back to having the mother's thali, as I say.
Yeah.
And this is good augury also because people are feeling fatigued and people feel that they have to return back to the basis and start eating homemade, home cooked food. And this is how news should be very clear without taking any partisan view. Just analyze and try to see where you can. At the end of the day, any news analysis must lead to a betterment, one way or the other. We cannot allow slanging match, abusive match to go on eternally in channels. Once a while, it's okay. It's also fun.
Yeah.
But that cannot be the model for eternity.
Raghav is asking, do you believe that really EC was responsible for COVID surge?
Now, there was a remark in the Madras High Court which has probably triggered this question.
Yeah.
Lordship, the Chief Justice of Madras High Court rhetorically posted some question to the counsel of the EC. With due respects to him, I think it was in bad taste. Because what the EC is mandated is to look at the Constitution and hold elections.
Yeah.
Now, a petition was filed probably 4 or 5 weeks ago in the same Madras High Court, seeking to ban election rallies or even the election, which was summarily dismissed. Now, you can't be constitutionalist in the month of March and you say that EC holding elections is bad in the month of April. Now, that is what the courts have come to. They are not being taken seriously. Yeah. If they indulge in this type of perfidy, I think they will not be taken seriously.
Yeah.
I think we need to go back and ask this question. What could the EC have done entirely different? And was it responsible for the second wave? Yeah. Look at the places where the second wave started. It started in Maharashtra, no election. It is palpable in Kerala, Karnataka, no elections. Now it goes to UP, where there is no election, but now there is a Jilla Parishad election or election to the local bodies that is happening. Bengal, where there is elections, still now not reported any big amount of deaths or cases. So how do you figure it out that whether this is all caused by elections or there is no exact study which suggests that elections caused the second wave? Of course, proximity, travel. Then what about IPL? Do you think that we should continue with IPL? In my personal view, IPL is sacrilege in this type of national disaster. But there is a counter argument to it that, wheels of the economy have to be kept moving. Advertisement, revenues, hotels, so much things are happening, travel. I don't know how to answer this. But my personal view is you should not be having IPL at this times. It is saddest, to say the least. And coming back to the original question, I personally feel the Election Commission has done a commendable job. It is not responsible for the spread of COVID, especially wave 2. If at all it was the responsibility of the state governments to ensure people adhere to the COVID protocol and behaved within the protocol's demand, which in an election rally of, say, Mamata Banerjee or Prime Minister cannot be expected. So probably we should have had an election without rallies, without campaigning. Probably we should take a lesson out of it, and we start looking at it and probably run a all party campaign and come to a consensus. There won't be any campaign except door-to-door campaigning or something like that henceforth in our elections.
Yeah. Sanjit is asking, why doesn't GOI come hard on anti-India, agenda-driven news peddlers? We certainly have laws to get this done.
Again, there is a fetish for the BJP to be seen as liberal. It wants to take the soft line. Today there was a question about NDTV. I would take a guess that if NDTV asks any of the cabinet ministers to come on that TV show at 9 o'clock, there will be a mad rush to go there and show their faces. So you have to understand all this anger is
MRV, I'm getting very few BJP people on my channels. They just refuse to come. I don't know why.
So that means your show is doing good. So you have to understand that the BJP people have a fetish for appearing in these channels. And not only that, even I would say that if any Pakistani channel calls them, they will go and to be fair to them, their answer would be that we are presenting our point of view and in the most anti-BJP channel that is available. So, and we don't want to rock the boat. We want to be playing by the rule book. So they want to be virtuous when nothing is demanded of them of being virtuous. So as usual, I will tell you one thing, that the BJP in handling these things has got its own standard operating practice, which is hold the Ravanas in their place and show the people, the gullible people, look, there is a Ravana there, so vote me and continue to vote me so that I will enjoy the power. The Ravana is also not disturbed because he is shown his place. He is kept in some sort of a controlled atmosphere so that he doesn't break the banks and do something dangerous. But at the same time, nothing will be done to annihilate these people. So BJP's model is very clear. And take a bet whether I will flourish, Meena will flourish, nobody can say. All these anti-national channels will flourish under the leadership of Narendra Modi and the BJP party, because they have also realized that if they don't go beyond the Lakshman Rekha, the BJP is the safest bet for them, because Congress may come and take some vindictive action on them.
Yeah.
But if BJP is there, it is a guarantee that they will not take any action. Yeah. And that begins from Sonia Gandhi herself.
Now, just one last candid question before we wind up, MRB. Who is the person who has actually irritated you the most when you were on a panel in the mainstream media? You don't need to name. You can just...
No, Meena, I am a very irritatable character by nature. I can get irritated in a second, but I don't have an anger against anybody. Because I'm a spiritual person. I believe that everybody is potentially a divine soul. And I believe that they will face their own karma. But quite a few of them have irritated me for a simple reason, that they have not come prepared for the subject, and they don't understand the subject. They pretend not to understand the subject, and they have gone like Chennai's auto fellows, taking you to subjects
around the city
without knowing where they are going. So they themselves don't have a destination point. So this has happened to me quite a few. Since you asked me not to name, I'm not naming anybody. But there are quite a few. And I will tell you
No, you're welcome to name. I'm not.
No, I will tell you. This is what I will tell you. That there are people who belong to the BJP also, who have irritated. So they have also not understood the subject. They have also beaten around the bush. They are given wrong answers. They are filibustered. They think too much of themselves. They think that they are divine, God's gift to mankind and to the BJP. So I would say that all these things are there very much possible. So we leave it at that. So this is an occupation hazard for people who are panelists who have to face this. On a daily basis, we have to face this type of idiots in the channel. So leave it at that.
Thank you, MR. A wonderful chat. And we'll meet you in another session. Thank you from the viewers as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and good night.